This is what stands out for any employer, is somebody who's willing to get their hands dirty. I actually think you'll get more likely to progress if you know how to unblock a loo than if you have an MBA. Best thing that you can do. And offering your services to people. Oh, I can help with that. Getting in touch with people through LinkedIn.
Welcome to Female Founder Stories, Women at the Top Told by a Teen. I'm Sia Kantaria, and I'm taking you behind the scenes of real entrepreneurship. The grit, the setbacks, and the breakthroughs it takes to build something real, told in a way that makes you think, I could do that too. Today's guest went from investment banking to vast-time chemistry, proving that you don't need to be a scientist to build products trusted by millions of families. Joanna Jensen created Child's Farm, the UK's #1 baby and child skincare brand, after nothing on the shelves worked for her daughter's sensitive skin. She now champions other entrepreneurs as a mentor and business leader, sharing her experience to help the next generation of founders. So Joanna, welcome to Female Founder Stories. It's amazing to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Sia. I'm delighted to be here.
So can we start right at the beginning of your journey? So you were in banking and then you changed to making baby skincare and tables. So what gave you the confidence to start something completely different?
Well, I think whenever you create a brand or a product, particularly with women and girls, it comes from a real need. And when I was growing up, I had really bad sensitive eczema-prone skin. And I had my first child and she came out okay. I had my second child and she had my skin. Really irritated easily, very eczema prone. And I was really frustrated that I couldn't find anything on the market for her. And I think this is why women in particular, something I can give you a statistic, 98% of brands founded by women are created because there is a need that they cannot find something for. And that was exactly what happened to me. I was so frustrated. I wanted to solve the problem. And when you are in that position, weirdly, you sort of feel like, well, this is the easiest thing in the world. Why has nobody else done this before? And that logic is what overcomes any fear or, I suppose, concern that what you're doing could be completely bonkers.
I mean, I have sensitive or eczema prone skin as well. So I also know the struggles of like having to carry around my little bottle of like E45 wherever I go to make sure that my skin doesn't get bad. But yeah, I think a lot of the female founders that I've spoken to already have all said that there needs to be a problem that you are trying to solve. Otherwise the product is useless. And even if you think you have a market, you aren't going to have a market.
That's absolutely true. And it can stem from anywhere. It could be a hobby that you do, or it could be a part-time job that you do. You could be, working a Saturday morning job at the moment, and you suddenly look at what you're doing, you're thinking, gosh, this is really silly that we do it like this. If we had this widget or this gadget or this biscuit or whatever it is, life would be so much simpler. And that is where ideas typically stem from.
And then you said that attitude can open doors. So the teens like just starting out, even in school, or maybe they're having their first job, what does it mean to really stand out?
I think the best way to describe this is a principle that I have always had, which is if someone asks you to get it done by the end of the week, you get it done by the end of the day. That way you are delivering beyond their expectations and it helps you be noticed. And to give you an example again, I wanted to change my career in my early 20s. And I went quite extreme. And I thought, well, banking, I could do banking. But I didn't have the qualifications. I didn't have a degree. I had 2 A-levels. I went to Hong Kong and I started at the bottom. And I would literally do anything anybody asked. I got a job in one firm. And within 3 years, I was headhunted back to London and brought in an executive position with, literally 2 A-levels. And this is what stands out for any employer, is somebody who's willing to get their hands dirty. I actually think you're more likely to progress if you know how to unblock a loo than if you have an MBA. It's all about your attitude. And, as a friend of my daughter's always says, you're never fully dressed without a smile. So always wear a smile and don't be frightened. And if the job's not finished, stay there till it is. Honestly, you will stand out. There is a bit of a pushback, as you probably know, at the moment, and saying that the younger generation is, wanting work-life balance and. I think it's not that. It's that willingness to roll up your sleeves and get stuck in. And if you do that, you'll stand out. And honestly, the doors will open for you. So have that really positive attitude. If someone says, can you do this? Turn around and say, oh, I've never done it before, but if there's someone who can show me, that's great. If not, I'll Google it and work out how to do this. We did this when we started Child's Farm. A friend of mine's daughter came to work for me, and we got this new accounting system called Sage. And she and I had no idea how to use it. And we just spent 2 hours a day on the phone to the help desk. I mean, after about 6 months, we were experts on this thing. Just apply yourself. Have a go. What's the worst that can happen? You don't get shot in this country for not succeeding.
Yeah, so going above and beyond and really pushing yourself, I think that that's something that a lot of teens might need, like that advice, given that obviously you do the bare minimum, even like homework and things, you try and do the bare minimum to just get it done, but going above and beyond until you get noticed.
If you're an ambitious person and your motivation could be anything. It could be having money to buy nice things, or to buy a house, or to look after your parents. Whatever your motivation is, you've got to have that ambition and drive. If you've got it and you get down and dirty, the world's your oyster.
I think that's great advice. So my next question is, why do you think that female founders are so important, especially female? And how do they change the way that business is done?
That's a brilliant question. I think the latest statistics are that 65% of consumer spend is currently, and this is global, is currently in the hands of women. So women are predominantly making purchase decisions. So that means when women are creating products for other women, you've immediately got that empathy, that understanding that this is something that a woman actually wants, and it has a place in a woman's household or in her car or on her wrist. No matter what it is, it will shine and sparkle to a woman. And I think that's really important, because at the same time as that, statistics tell us that venture capital, so that's money that's invested in businesses, 1.8% of it goes to female founders. And that's largely driven by the fact that investments decisions, so where you allocate that money to, are made by men. So there's a complete disconnect here about what women want and what their purchasing power allows them to get versus the people that are allocating funds to ideas. So it's really important that women are heard and seen and their ideas are entertained. And I think we're better at it. We seem to have a greater insight. And we're more modest. We don't have to tell everybody how brilliant we are. We can do it through just delivering, if that makes sense. Look at some of the other brands that are out there. Little Moons and their little frozen ice cream mochi. There was nothing like it on the market, but the guys understood that a little tiny mochi ice cream bite will satisfy anyone and everyone. And that's the logic and the sense that goes into good brands. So I would love to see more female-founded brands on the horizon because we get it and we're selling to each other. We're selling to the sisterhood.
Yeah. Anyone listening to this, female teens, start your own businesses. Think about daily issues that you have in your day-to-day lives. My mum just said the other day that what is really annoying for her is not having a glasses cleaner like handy all the time because she wears glasses in the car and wherever. And if it was attached to like a keychain on her car keys, it would be much more accessible for her to have. And there are so many different examples like that, and so many different teens could start businesses. So have a think. My next question is, so given that you didn't come from a science or really that much of a business background, how did you learn about business as you went along? Because in the majority of schools, for example, business isn't taught as a subject or even anything really, even economics related until you get to sixth form. So how did you learn about business?
Well, I was very lucky because my grandparents had an antiques business. So I spent a lot of time with them and I listened and I learned. I had jobs when I was very young, everything from a paper round to then working in pubs, starting off waitressing and then pulling pints. But I also did my first entrepreneurial business when I was 13. And I don't know if you've ever used Fimo, the little clay that you then cook in the oven. So I made little Fimo pigs and I made punk pigs, which had little tiny brass paper clips through their nostrils and little punk hairdos, and teacher pigs and, gardening pigs. I made a whole myriad of them and I put them in my grandparents' shop and sold them. And you know, when I was 16 and I needed some money, I started doing French polishing for my grandparents. So I always looked at opportunities. My motivation was money because we had, my mother gave us nothing. And so if I wanted to buy something, I had to earn the money myself. And that made me creative because, between about 14 and 16, there aren't particularly that many jobs that you can do, really, other than babysitting and paper rounds. I don't think they do them anymore because everybody's reading the paper online. So it's quite limiting. And you also, you don't want to be reliant on your parents for getting you there and back. So coming up with things. I mean, I would go to my grandparents' house to the French polishing most days, which was either a 20-minute cycle or a 40-minute walk because they were 2 villages away. But, you've got to be prepared to do that. I mean, my 16-year-old daughter now, to ride her horse is a 55-minute cycle. And she will cycle in the morning, ride her horse, muck out her horse, help in the yard mucking out other horses, maybe ride another couple of horses, and then cycle home again. That is the makings of an entrepreneur. And then when it comes to understanding about business early on, read things. I mean, I would subscribe to things like The Week. They've got a junior version of that, which is probably slightly more palatable than the senior version. But, listen to the news. Be intellectually curious as to why Claire's Accessories has gone into administration right now. Look it up, Google it. Why has Claire's Accessories gone into administration? And you'll find, you'll probably work it out yourself because people are buying everything online. There's so much more choice. People aren't going shopping in town centres anymore. And that again is telling you something about businesses that thrive today. You've got to be able to see them online. Having a shop is great, but by and large, most of your generation does it shopping online or through recommendation through your friends or through TikTok or through Insta. And that's teaching you how to talk to your consumer. And your consumer is the person that's going to buy your products. And so understanding how they operate is absolutely vital.
I also heard from another founder linking to this of how important it is to have a business that's adaptable. So like Claire's, for example, given that there's no like online store or anything, that's not adaptable. It can't use like AI now to incorporate into the business, but being flexible and shifting your business is, I think it's one of the most interesting things of once you've built your business, adapting it then to like different markets or different current affairs, like you said.
And also AI now, taking that technology and that way to do things, you've got to embrace it. And the one thing, I was talking to my 19-year-old about this the other day, who's just about to go to university. And I said, while you were there, you do one thing for me, and that is to do a basic course in accountancy. Because no matter what you do in your life, you need to understand the numbers. You need to be able to read a profit and loss account. You need to understand a balance sheet, which is the value of all of your assets. So those are things that are part of your business. And you have to understand your forecasting. So what you think you're going to do and how much all of that is going to cost you. So doing a basic course is the best thing that you can do. And offering your services to people. Oh, I can help with that. Getting in touch with people through LinkedIn, nobody minds. Stalk the people you like and say, can I come and do a bit of work experience at your place? And if you can, if you live near a town, go and knock on some doors, go into these shops that you like, say, how do I get to work here?
Also, especially for the audience here, everyone's so happy to help, especially teenagers our age. And I've seen that reaching out to all these female founders. Everyone is so willing to take out a chunk of their time, even when they're so incredibly, incredibly busy, to just speak to a 16-year-old. And honestly, who would have thought? But it's amazing. And connection and networking is one of the most important things as you get older. And getting work experience, any of that stuff, it's so useful to have connections. So,
and as you say, women are more than delighted. If when you get in touch with someone, just be polite and be flexible and enthusiastic. And it's very hard for us to turn somebody down.
and my last question is so you've achieved so much with not only Child's Farm, but helping other women and coaching them. But what does success mean to you now? Like, what is your definition of success?
God, that is such a brilliant question. So success for me is being intellectually curious and always learning. And I think that life sort of loses its purpose if you're not constantly learning. And, that could be through reading, that could be through doing. But to give you an example, when I was about 13, 14, I wanted to be a television presenter. I just wanted to go on telly. And actually, one of the reasons I went to Hong Kong is A, that I thought I could try and get into finance. But B, I thought I might try and get into telly, which of course I completely failed. Because by the time I moved to Hong Kong, it was just about to hand over to the Chinese and I couldn't speak Cantonese, so I was hopeless. But now in my life, and I'm 55 now, I'm going on telly 2-3 times a month. And I do morning television, and my husband says, oh my God, it's not exactly Newslight. I don't care. I'm having so much fun and I'm meeting so many interesting people. I love working with female founders. I do a bit of work with the government as well. I've just written a book, and that's all about basically how to become an entrepreneur. And I've got a new chapter in my life. And so for me, success is having the ability to have these continually new chapters as you go through your life. So there's always something around the corner that you least expect. And I know that was quite hard for your audience to sort of think about. But school's going to be over. And then maybe you'll go to university or to college or go and get a job. And that's a new chapter. And then maybe you'll have a family or you'll go and live overseas, or you'll go and do something really exciting and exotic. That's another new chapter. But all these chapters come and welcome them. Don't panic about what's going to happen. Life just happens. Don't try to control it. Go with the flow. And the more intellectually curious you are, the more opportunities will present themselves to you. And as you said earlier, network. Go and meet people. Don't think, oh, I can't be bothered. Just go.
Thank you so much for your time, Joanna. I have learned, and I'm sure the audience has learned so much today about networking, putting yourself out there and going for every opportunity that you're given, and really pushing yourself to the best of your abilities, which will enable you to unlock so many doors for yourself. And just keep going and explore the new chapters in your life and go with the flow. See you next time, everyone.